Greetings, my friends, and welcome to another episode of The World According to Waz. It is now Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, and I hope you're all having a good day. As you can see by the title of this podcast, we got some wacky woke news to talk about. I'm personally not a lesbian woman of color, but this story involves a white man who claims to be one. We have a story here from the Daily Mail from May 1st. It says a white councilman in Indiana sparks outrage after proclaiming himself a lesbian woman of color who is living life as my true self, but angry trans locals call for him to resign. And the story says a white Republican councilman in Indiana has sparked outrage after jokingly declaring himself a lesbian woman of color in a Facebook post made earlier this month. Delaware City Councilman Ryan Webb wrote that he considers himself an Indian American woman, saying he finally feels comfortable sharing his true authentic self, but many have not played into this farce. It is with great relief that I announce to everyone that I identify as a woman, and not just any woman, but as a woman of color as well. I guess that would make me gay or lesbian as well, since I'm attracted to women, he wrote in the post. The announcement sparked outrage from people calling Webb pathetic and for his perceived mockery of the LGBT groups as well as marginalized groups. His words not only embarrass himself, but you, the council, said Charlize Jameson, a transgender resident. Other members have now called him out for inciting hate against transgender people and demanding his resignation. Webb, a staunch Republican, first shared his true self to the world on April 12th. Ooh, that felt good to finally get that out and start living life as my true self. I'm excited to bring some diversity to the county council, he wrote. Until today, we didn't have any females of color or LGBTQ on the council. I'm glad that we now do, he continued. Webb wrote that he will still go by Ryan or Councilman Webb and keep his pronouns as he, him. That, however, will in no way diminish my true identity as a woman of color. Now, what's funny about this is he's joking, of course, and people are outraged over it. And, I just think it exposes the true absurdity of the whole matter, this trans women, trans men thing. It's like the great Rush Limbaugh used to say, expose absurdity by being absurd, and that's exactly what this gentleman in Indiana is doing. And as I mentioned before, if you're an adult and you want to say there's your man if you're really a woman, or a woman if you're really a man, I really don't care. You can call yourself whatever the heck you want. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that if you are a man, then no matter what you say, you will always be a man. I mean, you can have your penis removed and have these hormones and whatever therapies they got going on and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be a man. It's like a meme I saw on Twitter where they talked about, 1,000 years from now, archaeologists are going to dig up your bones, because that's all will be left is your bones. Your body will be, decayed. And even if you call yourself a woman, a trans woman, the archaeologists will determine that you actually were a man based on your pelvis. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you are a man, there's nothing you can say or do that's going to change that. Me merely saying I am something doesn't make it so. I can say I'm a progressive liberal, but it doesn't mean I am. I can say I'm the richest man in the world or the sexiest guy alive, but just merely saying it doesn't, make it reality. And we've got another woke story here from timcast.com. It says that nearly 25% of high school students claim that they are gay, bi, or questioning their sexuality. And the story goes on to say that just 75.5% of 14 to 18-year-olds said that they're heterosexual, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's biannual youth report for 2021. Of those surveyed, 12.1% said that they are bisexual, 3.2% said that they are gay. Additionally, 3.9% chose other, and 5.2% questioned their sexuality. The percentage of students who do not view themselves as straight has more than doubled in recent years, from 11% in 2015 to 24.5% in 2021, the Daily Mail reported. The report noted that rates of alternate sexualities in minors are much higher than in adults, Roughly 7% of adults identify as LGBTQ. The CDC also found that minors who identify as LGBTQ have significantly more mental health issues. Well, no kidding. I mean, you grab a kid from a young age and you start confusing the hell out of them about who they are, what they are. I mean, it's just going to mess with them. And the story goes on. More than half of female high schoolers who identified as bisexual have seriously considered attempting suicide, and 40% who identified as bisexual. This is compared to only 20% of heterosexual female students, a report stated. A staggering 26%, more than 1 in 4 bisexual female students attempted suicide. Well, again, you're just confusing the hell out of these kids. Why can't you just leave them alone and let them be kids? If when they become adults, they want to do whatever with their bodies and call themselves whatever they want to call themselves, then so be it. But don't start doing this crap when they're kids. Stop grooming them just to make yourself feel better about yourself because you chose a certain lifestyle. That doesn't mean other people are interested or want to have anything to do with it. And when you grab a young kid, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in preschool, elementary school, and start putting this crap in their minds, it's just going to mess them up. I mean, that's why you've got so many people attempting suicide amongst these kids, especially among girls. Now, obviously, I'm not a girl, I'm a guy, but I mean, girls traditionally have always had probably more issues with their body and stuff, especially when they're growing up in teen years. Your body changes and stuff like that. And, there's a lot of peer pressure in that among women, girls, to compete with other females, to, be as attractive or as skinny as others. And, that's unfortunate, but it's true. But when you add this to the mix, confusing them about who they are, what they are, their own identity, I mean, you're just going to cause a whole world of problems unnecessarily. And I honestly believe this is a mental health issue. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but I believe it's true. And I'm sure many of you believe the same as well. And these are people that need help. And you're clearly not helping them by just confusing the hell out of them. You're making things worse, on teenagers. Teens have a rough enough time as it is dealing, like I said, with peer pressure and that. And when you start throwing sex and gender into the mix and confusing them, it just makes things so much worse. And this is something we definitely have to keep fighting, my friends. I mean, kids are our future. They're the future of this country, the future of the world. And if we keep going on this path, at some point, we're not going to have a human race. We've got so many people aborting kids. And if they don't abort them, then they try to conform them, indoctrinate them, groom them as young kids in school. And by the time they do become adults, they're so confused that, traditional roles of man and woman, boy and girl, they're just changing everything simply to make, again, in my opinion, make other people feel better about themselves and the choices they've made. It's like they won't be happy unless there are others joining them and celebrating their particular lifestyles that they've chosen. And like I said, if you're an adult and you want to live a life a certain way as a woman or a man or whatever you want to call yourself, I really don't care. I might think it's stupid to do so, but you're an adult and you're not harming anybody. Fine, go for it. But leave the kids alone. You're messing with these people's minds. And that's why the suicide attempt rate is so high and all this other stuff. You're the reason why. It's not us. It's not people like us who are trying to get you to stop doing this to the kids that is making them, want to kill themselves. It is you by just confusing the hell out of them. Well, I'm going to cut this one short, my friends. Got to get ready for work in that. And I'll throw this up there after I get to work. If I get some free time on a break or whatever, I'll upload it. And this is Wednesday morning. And I hope you all are doing well. It's May 3rd, so officially spring's here. Although here in Southeast Michigan, it's still cold and rainy. But by the end of the week, it's supposed to get up in the mid-60s again, so it should be nice. And maybe 70s, they're saying, next week. So Michigan, like much of the Midwest, is probably, probably the same in Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, where you can go from 30 degrees to 80 degrees back down to 30 degrees in, 1 week. That's normal. And that's where we are here in Southeast Michigan. And I hope you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.